You're now listening to the Thousand Story Podcast, presented by Thousand Story.
Yeah. Yeah, check this out. Hibbity bobbity hibbity 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 bobbity bop. Skibbity bobbity bobbity get a something to tell your mama. Song mama.
Check it.
Talking about it this moment. Welcome to the Thousand Story Podcast. We are your hosts, Naji
and Luis.
And today,
That's me.
We have a very special guest in the building.
We do.
Monty. Give it up for Monty. Claps.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Snaps.
Thank you for having me. Snaps.
How you
Thank you.
feeling?
I'm feeling great. Feeling great.
Amazing.
It's an amazing day so far. Glad to be here with both of y'all.
Yo, this is our first in studio guest.
Yes.
If you would call
Glad to be the first one.
Yeah.
That was good. Yeah.
It's amazing. So, Monty, how was the flight?
Oh, man. Flight was rough. I
Yeah.
always, had to wait at the airport for quite a bit because, there's not that many planes that fly to Erie.
feel you.
You
Yeah.
feel me?
Yeah.
So
No one knows where this place is.
Yeah, Erie's an incredible town, though. I will say that for sure.
Shout out.
Major shout
Yeah.
out. This is the place to be to focus and
Yes, sir.
relax
I feel you.
and
Zen out.
get away. Yeah, definitely zen out for
Yeah.
sure.
That kind of makes sense as to why this is considered a vacation town now. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. Most of the people that own home, I don't want to say most of the people that own homes.
Right.
It used to be that this was just really like vacation, like
Vacation.
touristy vacation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it totally was. In the 70s and 80s and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they had like the GE was here
Mhm.
and there was a town of people, but now it has really, really just turned to tourism.
It really has. I mean, to kind of the detriment of everything else in
Yeah.
the city, but
Nah.
I mean, like
sure.
it's a serious problem. Like literally, they closed all but one high school in the city.
Yeah.
So all the high schools
Wow.
are consolidated into one building,
Right.
and then they turned all those into the middle schools. I think
Yep.
all the extra
I
ones.
think
Yeah.
so too.
It's just it's not good. It's not looking
Yeah.
good. Whoever's doing the budget, they're wild now.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
that's-
shout out to them.
no,
shout
shout
out to them. That's a story for another day.
That
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
we, while we're here, we should probably, figure out who you are, why you're here, et cetera, et cetera. So give us a little rundown.
Who is Monty?
Monty?
Who
Yeah.
is Monty?
Who is Monty?
That's a phenomenal question. I ask myself that all the time. So
That's a mark of a good man.
yeah,
You're always
Yeah.
questioning yourself.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So, in short, I guess I'm a creative.
Cool.
I may not be, I'm not a musician
Mhm.
anymore, but but for me, I help artists, turn their ideas to reality.
Amazing.
So I get to create on the business side and the marketing and all of that.
Which
lot
is
of
a
fun.
highly creative field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Being a creative
Definitely.
director, being a
Mhm.
manager, anything of that
Yeah.
sort requires an ingenuous mind.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Very true.
I love what I do. I know it's very, very, I'll get more in depth later on, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, that's what I do for sure. Just to summarize, keep it very simple.
Yeah.
So when did you
So-
start? When did you start getting into being a creative? Like when was that? You're like, okay, I got to do this.
I guess it definitely started when I was a lot younger. I was a filmmaker growing up. So I would
right.
always, I guess that's what kind of sparked it. And then over time, as I got more involved in the business side of things in my early 20s, that's how I was able to really expand on that field and just become way more creative on the business and marketing side.
Yeah.
Got it. So now you find yourself, who are you involved with? Like, what are you working on? What are
Yeah.
you-
So okay. Yeah. So
Wait,
so
this is the truncated version.
Yeah. So one thing about me, I will say to the listeners out there, I can be I have to learn to elaborate a lot more. So I'll do that right now. So I can be very, very simple. But anyway, so I'm involved with Soulection. I'm the director of operations and label manager over there.
Hey.
Mhm.
And
Shout out.
shout out Soulection.
Yeah.
And then I also have another company called Subtle, which is I would call an artist partnership and development company.
Okay.
Yeah. So and we do a lot of different things with that as well. So
Interesting. I got a lot of
yeah.
questions about that.
Yeah, definitely. So, in short, I'm very blessed and grateful to be able to just do what I love,
Yeah.
as well as change the music industry at the
There we
same
go.
time. So that's
Nice
what I'm
little
really
intro
excited.
to Monty. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. More snaps.
Perfect,
More
yeah.
snaps.
Hey, thank you.
Yes. So we brought you on because a while back we had this discussion. We were just talking casually about, like dick riders and early Well, the difference.
Ooh.
You can just go there.
Yeah,
I mean-
kick it off there. Okay.
Doesn't even start with early adopters. To
Nah.
just dick
We'll get to
riders.
that point. I mean, we got
There you
to
go.
address the problem first.
Yes,
Okay.
true.
So, dick riders versus early adopters,
Mhm.
and kind of how we discern the difference between the two, and your experience with them. You're clearly frustrated, as am I, but you tend to deal with them more so than people do. Just in this field specifically, being in a managerial kind of spot, people really, really want to hop on to what you're doing. People,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So, how do you, first, I guess, how do you choose who you want around you most of the time so you avoid that whole scenario? Like, so what's kind of your process for determining who you should have in your circle and who isn't that?
No, absolutely. I mean, for me, it always comes down to intention, and what someone's intentions are. But that's not something you can figure out, immediately.
Right.
A lot of people are like, hey, we're homies. Like, let's build, let's work, fam. And it's like, yo, I don't.
You know how we feel about the
Yeah.
word fam.
Oh
man.
yeah,
So-
fam is a phenomenal word. And for me in particular, it's like, what's the rush? And also, let's take our time. Because for me, I'm really big on figuring out people, and again, their intention.
Mhm.
So it's just it's really filtering through that process.
Yeah.
Because most people can filter themselves out over time.
Of
You know
course.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's exactly kind of how I've structured it.
I think it goes back to like our conversation we were having about like the vibe that you get from
Yeah.
people, the initial vibe that you get.
1,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, absolutely. The vibe is everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a part of honestly how that's a part of everything I do. You know what I mean? And I guess going back to your earlier point, it's just like, how do I figure that out? It's giving people time and then also giving them opportunities. You know what I mean? Giving them shots to be like, okay, cool. If you want to work with me or do something, let's work on a project together. See how it goes.
Now,
Yeah.
it's interesting that you kind of have that that staged or no, I don't want to say tiered, but just kind of like delayed process where
Yeah.
it's not, not everything's like instantly like, welcome aboard. It's that takes patience. That's a developed skill. How do you think you kind of develop that skill to be able to delay that process and not feel like you're like actually delaying the entire process?
Right. No, absolutely. That's a great question. I guess a lot of it's come from me building a lot of businesses by myself.
Right.
And I realized the benefit of a team, but then I've also realized, you have to take your time to build the right team. Yeah, you can bring on a ton of people, of course.
Yeah.
A lot of startups and businesses do that out the gate. Like, oh, I just got a ton of money. I got to do this and that. But for me, it's like, that's great. But sometimes you'd be surprised that the right, size for your business or, team could just be 5 people instead of 50.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for me, it's about figuring out and deciphering those specific people.
Yeah.
Versus just a ton of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Do you find that a lot of people, I don't want to put it, they, I guess, early adopt or more like, I guess, dick ride, basically, so that they don't have to work? You know what I'm saying? Like they try to get on the ground level just so that they can say that they
I knew that guy.
Right.
I was with him since day one.
Yeah.
Day one. So,
and then it makes it easier for them down the road because they're like, oh yeah, I was there day one when Soulection was starting out and
Right,
blah,
right.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm just throwing out a hypothetical.
Yeah, no,
but, like,
absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, when people say they're down, it's like, yo, that's dope. I'm glad you understand the value that we're all creating and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But what's the definition of down, though? Sometimes
Yeah.
that's the reason why it doesn't really bother me.
I feel you.
Because it's like, cool, you may be someone we know.
Yeah.
But you're not a part of it, so it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
really
yeah.
matter. So it's just
Exactly.
like, cool. You
Yeah.
just knew about us early. Congrats. Like, thank you. No, I appreciate the support.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Great example. I have a question. So,
Yeah.
from you put me on the Entourage, the HBO show.
yes.
So
Show's
there's a
hilarious.
great
Yes, it is.
example of how what would you consider the main character, Adrian Grenier. It's actually how you say his friend. Anyway,
Mhm.
what would you consider his clique? Are they dick riders or are they early adopters?
You talking about his crew?
Yeah.
Neither.
Ooh.
They're his crew. I feel like there's definitely different tiers to this.
Right. Okay.
Like
so
I wouldn't consider everyone's
Interesting.
one or the other at all.
Mm,
Because there's some people who are more involved in helping develop everything, and also
true.
Yeah.
in a way like it's counsel, because you'll humble him, because when people grow over time, you cannot have a ton of yes men around you,
Yes.
which
True.
I feel like is what both of those parties would be anyway.
Mm.
True.
Because they're just yes people. They're like, oh yeah, everything you do is great, it's dope.
Yeah.
You need people to check you sometimes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay. So in the case of Entourage, when they're, I guess, taking advantage of the fact that they're on his team,
Right.
is that because they've been with, like, do you think that's, I don't want to say morally or ethically, but just like a good thing to have from your team that everybody knows that they have that advantage of being on your team? Or is it that, like, what makes that okay? Or what makes that?
At the end of the day, it comes back down to the persons, which is Vince, right? The character, Vince.
Right,
So
right.
at the end of the day, if he's okay with that and he's still happy with everything, that's his choice. And that's them all agreeing to that choice.
So they wouldn't be considered either class because they're still part of his crew.
They're also still helping run his business, making sure that he's taken care of at the end
True.
of the day. So that's the reason why, for me, it makes sense.
Got it.
Yeah.
Because that's.
I got to
it's-
rewatch this show, man.
Yeah.
I just started watching it for anybody listening. I'm just getting into it now, and it's interesting because I don't necessarily enjoy it on a like a just straight casual watching tip, which is
Mhm.
weird. But I enjoy it because it does have that insight to kind of where the industry is right now. So I was curious to get your opinion on that because I'm like, that's they have a very specific kind of dynamic in that
Yeah,
relationship.
they do.
And I personally know that I have, so my team, for example,
Mhm.
consists of people that are all just ready to help me build. I have no yes men around me.
Mhm.
Zero. Zero yes men. Like my
It's true.
mom is not a yes man. She is cold. Like, like moms are like, and she probably gonna hate me for saying that, but she won't.
She's
No,
real. No,
she's
she's
real.
real.
She is
what you
100%
need.
real.
But
Yeah.
that's care.
Exactly.
That's someone who cares about you.
Exactly.
To be like,
Yep.
nah, you're wrong. That was a smack, by the way. I don't know if you heard that. It was more like this. I can't even make the sound. But like,
Yeah,
calm
and
down.
I've
kid.
grown up with I've been fortunate enough to not have yes men around for most of my life, even myself, or people that are just like, yo, you know,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I guess that's a rarity in and of itself. So how do you kind of discern? For me, that my struggle was finding out what does a yes man look like. I was like, I don't even know how to
Oh, man, it
recognize
It comes
that
in
when I
all
started.
shapes and sizes
Yo,
and forms.
I figured that out. Like, okay, so I had a relationship once, and it was like everything that I liked, they also liked.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, I'm really into this band. Like, oh, me too. And I was like, I don't really like that. You know what I mean? Like, you just
Yeah.
you just accepted it without even like knowing what it was. You know, you
Mhm.
just
Like, what's your opinion on it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you can. I would love it if you hate them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
Yeah.
I like them. Like that's cool with me. Like you
Mhm.
have your own opinion at least.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Disclaimer: I do know now what a yes man is.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
I've learned.
I think the biggest thing is like some people just don't know.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
some people are like,
Completely
oh
oblivious to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you know they're just vibing off of your energy.
Mhm.
Like, oh
Exactly.
man, I really love this thing, and they're like, me too, and then you're like, you're cool,
Yeah.
you're cool, just because you and we like the same shit.
100%.
You know?
Especially as you're building something.
Yep.
You,
Absolutely.
of course, want people to be excited about what you're building and
Yeah.
creating and releasing. So,
So how do you determine? Okay, so like early adopters, for
Yeah.
example, like the people that come on board. How do you determine that? I mean, obviously, over time.
Yep.
But like just from like first glance, a yes man and somebody who's actually down look like the same kind of person.
Mhm.
So, when you're trying to figure out the early adopters and who to push towards, how do you kind of discern which people to go for? Like if you're constantly surrounded by
Mhm.
that kind of environment
Yeah.
where people's like, I love what you're doing, bro.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Where do you take it? How do you say, okay, I see that you love it, but then how do you kind of expound on that and have them become part of the team slowly? That's
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay, so we're not talking about like supporters, right? We're talking about like people genuine for the team.
right.
Okay,
and
got
then
it,
but then discerning
This is-
between people who are definitely team material
Right.
and then people who are fan material. Like
Gotcha.
even though
Okay.
like you know what I mean?
Cool. I mean, for me, it just comes back down to, again, time and then
Mhm.
also how they want to help.
True.
You know, that there's always that biggest question. It's just like, oh, cool, you want to be involved? How?
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Yeah.
You know, here's a scenario.
Yeah.
And
do you respect more people who come up to you and they're like, yo, I love what you're doing. Would be cool if this also happened along with what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they're like
Yeah,
those, I like what you're
yeah.
doing, but like maybe you should consider switching it up like this. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, oh man, that's a great question. No, for me, how should I word this? For me, I'm very particular. You know what? It comes back down to delivery.
Yeah.
And the environment.
Yeah.
So I think that's how. Yeah.
Communication.
Communication's everything. Yeah. So if you're coming at me like, "Yo, bro, this is great, but you should do it better or do this," like, I may not take that all in if it's communicated that way.
Right.
So it just depends how it's delivered.
I feel you.
Yeah.
That makes
but
sense.
it doesn't matter who. You know what I mean? Like, I never want to, judge or assume if someone's like, "Oh, I'm just out of college, but I do have an idea," or whatever. It's like, yo, I've been there. I was there myself. You know what I mean? So I'm the guy who didn't finish college that people listen to now. You know what I mean? In some areas. So it's like, it's like, hey, I can't, information. It can be valuable. You just have to be open to it. But yeah, communication though, for sure.
That's true.
I'm watching. I'm like, y'all just keep nodding.
No. Because it's real. Because like, if you cannot clearly communicate to someone in a way that they are receptible to, your ideas won't come across whatsoever.
Absolutely.
We've had this situation a few different times. Yeah. Oh, let's see, where it's like, you have to figure out who the messenger is.
Yes.
Who the right messenger is.
And how it's communicated.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because then just comes out with like, who's your audience?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the person receiving this message, and how do you tailor that to them?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
And then speaking of your audience, so, in my case, or in our cases being artists, how do we, I guess we kind of discern who can be, or who is a fan by obviously, who listens and whatnot, but like, how do you then find out who your like really your core fan base is? Like, I mean, obviously it's like ride or die people who are like, yo, I really want to buy this, or I want to cop this, or people who are down to support. Yes. But then, it's hard to figure out how to over time kind of cater to them, especially if you're like just starting out as a new artist. If you only have one person that's doing that, do you really go and choose to not neglect, but like focus on that one person? Or do you still try and kind of put yourself out there and kind of reach wider markets? I think a lot of newer artists have that confusion as well, where it's like, they're told, focus on the super fans, focus on building these people up, which is true. You absolutely should. But, it's difficult to figure out, who those people are in the beginning, especially.
Right. I mean, to me, there's different. Okay, so I think very system and formula oriented. So for me, there's a system formula to that. So it's like, if you're brand new, like focusing on your early adopters, that's great and all, but it's too early. You doing what you're already doing is working. Yeah. So don't change anything that you're doing. It's just be more consistent. That's the only thing I would say. Yep. You know what I mean? Because it's too early to be like, oh, I want to focus on these people. I mean, that's great. Again, you can shout them out, show them love and everything that. But nothing's wrong with that at all. But to change anything that you're doing, to do that, or to try to reach a wider audience, I wouldn't recommend, because it's like what you're doing obviously is working. Yeah. It's just most of the time, honestly, a lot of people just quit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or they stop being consistent, or, you know what I mean? Once that starts to show, then people are like, oh, I'm glad I didn't commit anyway. You know what I mean? Because it shows that you weren't really down for even yourself to continue to make music.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? So it's like the music or just in any industry, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
That speaks to me a lot right now.
Yeah.
That definitely speaks to me. Not only because you're looking at me when you're saying that. But yeah, in general, as a new artist, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Even as a new business.
Like,
so
exactly.
Yeah. Not even just artistry.
Yeah, just in anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like you have to keep going. You know what I mean? As people start to, become more aware of what you're doing and become more interested in what you're doing and how you're doing it, et cetera. It's like, keep doing it. That's the part that people really mess up on, because they're like, oh, I want to reach a wider audience. I want to reach these people. I want to reach this person. It's like, no, like give yourself time as
Yeah.
well, because you're also going to change and develop by yourself.
They get too lost in the fact that they're not there yet.
Exactly.
And
And
they
that was something I know we also spoke about like earlier, just like outside of the interview, but just like, growing and trying to grow fast. You know what I mean? It's like you have to give everything time to grow at your own rate and not compare to other people and all that. So, and it's very easy to do that because of social media and stuff like that now. It's like, oh, I don't have the followers and all of this, but it's like, but guess what? If you have 2,000 ride or die followers, guess what? You're killing the game.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like, I think that's everyone's, it
just takes time.
Yeah, it just takes time and also being content with what you have.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing people forget. So
yeah. And so like
wild.
for Soulection, when they start, I should know this, but when did the actual when did Joe and all that start? I know you came in 2013, but when did
so Joe kicked it off in January 2011.
doesn't that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
kicked it off with
Before I want to interject. What is Soulection?
Yeah, okay.
Just so that we can explain that to the listeners who don't know what that is.
So Soulection is a lot of different things. So it's a radio show. It's a music platform. It's a clothing line. It's an experience overall that we've been able to create. It's a lifestyle. It's a culture.
Yeah.
It is.
We didn't know that when we all started to develop it. It happened, and people kind of made the choices for us.
Interesting.
And for us, it was also just creating more and more outlets to reach the people and then also just get the story out.
Right.
But yes, we kicked it off with Joe in 2011 with a podcast at the time, as well as I think a compilation release. That's how everything got kicked off, because a lot of it, again, Soulection was created through the internet.
Yeah.
That's literally how everyone joined, was through the internet. I joined via Twitter. You know what I mean? So it's like
crazy.
Everyone joined in different aspects, but it was definitely the internet is how we've been able to grow, what we've created and stuff. So I joined in 2013. So it's been 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Oh
And
my god.
it's wild that that everybody kind of joined in that context online. That to make that discernment between fake or real or early adopters.
Well,
even
to
harder.
say because on the internet,
exactly.
Yeah.
So actually, not everyone was that case. So like obviously Andre, the other co-founder, him and Joe connected in person. And then, I don't want to get the story wrong, but I think Andre and Esther connected in person. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely started off on that type of tip. But again, over time, everyone just started connecting via the internet. Rather, it was, I think for some of the crew, it was like MySpace, I think, early days, and then SoundCloud. Obviously became the place how everyone connected. So we definitely connected with the majority of people via SoundCloud for sure.
And then the radio portion, because you said it was a podcast first. The radio portion came from when Joe was still in college, right?
Yeah.
And he did the college radio thing for a while.
Exactly.
Which is just crazy how that's
wild.
But he was consistent. Like
he was consistent.
It's a great example of being consistent. Literally, because he would do it every week, as much as possible. Obviously, there would be some down weeks or whatever, but just being consistent helped build. Like Soulection Radio is a huge part of Soulection.
Yeah.
Especially as the music side, which I'll get into later, was going through a lot of different reorganization. The radio show was still the most consistent. So it wasn't as if, So it wasn't as if, and then also the shows. So it wasn't as if, everything just stopped. There was definitely something consistent. People were still able to enjoy music every week. So shout out to that work.
Crazy.
Right. Because I'm
so let me tell y'all, like the early days, oh man, like the early days, the show was 3 hours long. And I remember going to, at least the first office that I went to was, where was it? It was like this old church. It was like a section of it. We had like an upstairs portion. It was a small room. And Joe would be recording the radio show. If he messed up, he'd have to redo the whole thing for 3 hours.
Wow.
And then re-upload it. So shout out to slow internet back in the day.
Oh,
that was such a process. It was really, really, it's funny now, but it was not then. You know what I mean? Like, shout out to, and again, it's like now, of course, things are a lot easier because Apple, so Soulection Radio is now out, Beats One, Apple. So
Shout
it's like,
guys. Congrats.
So it's like, so it's like, it's been, a lot of people, again, don't see the behind the scenes to get to that point. They don't see when someone, you know, it's just like,
Yeah.
you know, even with music, people don't know the hours that goes behind
Yep.
creating
No.
moments
It's
that
true.
are like, you know, 2 minutes to 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
It takes years, months, and hours to create that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So again, it's just one of those things where, you know, it takes time,
Yeah.
patience, and consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. All right,
Yeah.
let's just cut it here, man.
Yeah.
I think I learned everything. I'm about to go back to the studio.
Oh man. Well,
Yeah.
we definitely want to get more into, you know, your story as well, you know, because we've
Okay.
seen that kind of where you've worked into and worked through Soulection and Subtle now.
Yeah.
But we definitely want to find out more about Subtle and your mission and, you know, why you are where you're at now.
Yeah.
But before we do that,
Yep.
we want to, you know, give you a chance to plug anything for the first episode, at least. You
Mhm.
know, if you got any projects coming up or you need some handles you want to shout out there, you know, you know, get them out.
Well, you know,
Because one thing you didn't mention is
yeah.
you're an amazing photographer.
Yeah, like
Whoa.
Yeah.
you just totally slept on that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He's like, I was a filmmaker, and I'm just sitting here thinking, like,
Word.
man, all those
We didn't even
photos
talk
I
about
took.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so I told everyone, you know, like sometimes I do a lot because for me, it's not necessarily, oh yeah, I do this. I just do
Right,
it.
you just do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Nah,
it's not
you're subtle.
necessarily. Yeah. There you go. That's exactly.
Wink.
Hey, you feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah. But but yeah, no, I appreciate that off
For sure.
top. So I take everything on my phone, you know. So this is a Samsung
Yeah.
device, but you know, and yeah, I mean that's I did get into photography. I guess around the same time I got involved with Soulection. Actually, I got involved like I had a camera before then, but I didn't really make it a mission to actually take photos.
Yeah.
But as I started getting more involved, I started to actually practice out a Canon 7D.
Word.
And then I made a choice in 2016 once I got, was it 2016? Yes, it was 2016. I got a smartphone and I shot everything just now on my phone.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Pretty much
Yeah.
exclusively
Word.
on your
exclusive
phone.
on my phone.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And it's funny to like the extent like how real that is for you. Cause like when we were doing the shoot or we were doing a photo shoot for some promo shots for myself a
Mhm.
few days back. And it's just interesting seeing your comfort level with
Mhm.
the phone versus the camera. It's not that you
Yeah.
aren't comfortable with the camera, but like when you had your phone out, you're like, oh, I know exactly what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. The camera, like, hold on, maybe we can like think about, I'm just trying to think about this sun though. But you got the Samsung out. He was
Yeah.
like, all right, sit there.
Right.
Just turn your head left.
Yep.
Like he was like
That's all.
in control. And it's wild. Like you're that dedicated to your phone at this point.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how powerful our phones are.
Exactly.
That they can do that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
And
know?
and part of my mindset around that as well. It's funny how I don't try to make everything a lesson, but kind of even just for myself,
Right.
it's just like you can truly use what you have. No one has any excuse to complain about anything
Yeah.
at all.
Very true.
Yeah.
You can use your phone and become a photographer, or at least capture what you want.
You
know what I
apparently
mean?
you can use your phone
So-
and become a musician.
There you
Steve
go.
Lacy's
Exactly.
doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
And you can use for the listeners out there that make music, you can use the Blue Snowball, yes, the cheap $40 microphone,
Everything.
$30
Yeah.
now to make hits. That's what I started out on. Made some of the best songs with that.
You recorded 10 Cube.
Well,
didn't you?
no, I recorded that with an iPod headset.
Yeah.
wow.
That was literally
Hilarious.
just-
Yeah.
I was
You
just
told
like-
me that, and I was like, "Get at it." I was like, "Come on, man." No,
Yeah,
you
just
didn't.
like you can literally the tools are here for
Mhm.
people to create, and it's
Yeah.
just they're not marketed as such.
Yeah.
They're marketed for different things. But if you actually have the time, look at them, observe
Yeah.
them, see what you can do, see what you're capable with, and it's amazing what you can actually do with so little. You know,
Exactly.
it's incredible. You know, even like where I chose to live. We, you know, even though it's completely quiet out here, you know, for a musician or something, that seems like the opposite thing you should do. Where you know you should be in LA or New York or somewhere where things are popping, and you're constantly moving and you're constantly connecting. But me, I knew that I wanted to prioritize being able to create. Right. So if I'm so concerned about making rent the next month, that's like 50 plus hours a week that I can't think about music or that I can't do music.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or if I put myself in a spot where I can afford the rent, even, you know, there are pros and cons to everything, basically. Just reevaluate really what you need, not what
Mhm.
society or what your career says you need.
Yes.
Exactly.
But look at it,
For real.
see what you can make out of nothing or everything, you know, something, you know,
Mhm.
you have a lot around you and you can make do with what you have. And you
Yeah.
can do so much
Yeah.
if you actually choose to invest in the right things. You know,
Exactly.
invest time, invest energy and effort into your craft, and allow yourself to prioritize the unexpected or the kind of unorthodox methods, even if it doesn't look like it's going to be like the promising thing. Like even if you only have the iPod headset,
Yep.
Yeah.
do it.
We're
Yeah.
saying this because, at least I'm saying that because I was for sure the dude who was like buying a $1,200 amp,
Right.
$1,200 guitar, which don't get me wrong.
They're
I'm
great.
so happy I have them
They're
right now.
excellent.
Like I don't, but still it was just like, and then I had them and I was like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Like, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
There
No excuses. Just
Yeah.
get started.
Exactly.
So we want to thank you, Monty, for coming and just spreading a little knowledge, spreading a little
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
love. And like I said, if you have any socials, you have anything you want to plug.
Oh, feel free to follow me on, Twitter, IG at MONTYLOV.
Ooh, Monty Love.
Monty Love. Yeah, please follow me out on there. And yeah, keep a lookout for a lot of musical projects that I'm working on and working with people on. And I'm not going to share anything else.
Word, okay.
Everyone, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Hey, okay.
Well, if you guys have any other questions or have questions for Monty or Louise or myself, first of all, hit up Thousand Story on socials, Twitter and Instagram at @thousandstory_. That is an actual underscore, not the word underscore. Or on the site at thousandstory.co/contact. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or any other podcast that you listen to, because it will help spread the message. So what do we got going on next week?
So next week, we're actually going to get a little bit more in depth with Monty and learn more of what he does instead of this vagueness.
Right.
That
We will
he's
continue
just,
the story. We will dive deeper.
dive deeper into
the mind
Monty.
of Monty.
Monty Anglais.
Yes. Oh, also, my handles, if you want to bug me or, say hi or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
are at Mr. Naji Boy. That's MrNajiBoy.
Yo, and shout me out. You can find me on Instagram at El Pontillo. That's LPONTILLO. And on Twitter at Luis Pontillo. That's LUISPONTILLO. Soon to change to
Soon to
El
change.
Pontillo.
We're
Soon.
still talking to the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Let's stay tuned.
All right. Till next week.
Till next week.